Hi, my name is Monica Wentz, and I own and operate Monica Wentz's Family Child Care Home in Upper Pottsgrove, Pennsylvania. I care for 6 children, ages 2 to 5, and this is my 22nd year as a licensed provider. We used to have grants, and in Pennsylvania, they have the STARS program, and you do this, you do that, you do this, do that, and you go up in your stars. The higher the stars you have, they used to reward us with grants. We don't have those grants every year that we used to. So accommodating different types of parameters from DHS, that involves a lot of money. If they aren't giving us the grants, I don't know. What do I do? Do I stop paying my mortgage so I can put a fence around my 2 acres of property? Do I pay the electric bill, or do I widen the door so I can fit 2 toilets in my... There's only so much that a person can do with the amount of money that they make. I do set the tuition, but I also have to be feasible and understand that this isn't the highest paid area. But I also know that I spent many years not going further fixing my home, say, because I couldn't afford it. I recommend that the state invest in the professional development and licensing costs of family child care providers. This would include covering the cost for background checks, trainings required for initial licensing, and grants for renovations or safety inspections necessary when new regulations are implemented. If I had access to this kind of funding, might not have taken 11 years for me to get my associate's degree. It might have reduced my anxiety for the fire alarm situation, to have it clarified for me and not be able to have to take the money out of my pocket to make certain that I am compliant, and then be concerned whether my choice was in compliance or not.
My name is Cheryl Hudson-Miller, and I own and operate Munchkin Land, a licensed family group home here in Billings, Montana. I serve 15 children ages 0 to 12. This is my 20th year of taking care of kids and my 17th year as a licensed provider. In the state of Montana, we are very fortunate with our CureIS program, where we get quarterly stipends, and that quarterly stipend depends on what star level that you are at. I currently am at a star 5, the highest rating, and I get $2,150 every quarter. I have to use part of that as something to support my staff. In the beginning, when I started STARS, I used that to support my staff with their education. I now give that as a bonus for my staff for sticking with me and, hanging in the field. This is a tough field to hang into. We currently have funding until September of 2025 for this substantial stipend that providers get that participate in the CureIS program. But after that, we don't know where that money will go. We don't know that money that runs out, and we don't know what that is going to look like to be able to help support our staff, or even our education and professional development, if that's what we choose to use it for. My experience in the state of Montana, we are very fortunate. Our state pays for our background checks for us to become licensed. So back 20 years ago or 17 years ago, I had to pay for a CPR class. So back then it was probably like $30. It is now doubled. We pay a little bit more for that, and that's every 2 years. We don't, in the state of Montana, we don't have an application fee, and our initial 16 hours of training are free. But I do know that some states are required to pay for their background checks. They're required to pay for those CPR and first aid. If you are in a home that doesn't have a fence, licensing requires us to have a fenced yard. So that might be a startup cost that the provider needs to have in place before they can even open. So here they're not bringing in any income because they can't open their doors until they have that fence put in place. So those can be substantial costs. My recommendation around this is that I would like to see states follow Montana's example and pay for their state and federal background checks. We want to build this profession, and I think to do that, the states, I would recommend that the states look and see what costs that they can help absorb for these providers to come into the field.